No, I'm asking
It's
you,
suicide.
James. What's the biggest
Suicide.
cause of death? No, it's not. It's gun violence.
2020, the 2020 CDC study. That's what you're referring to,
You think
correct?
you think that's funny when I say the biggest cause of
No,
death?
no, 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 no.
It,
All right,
it,
okay. I see this show as being one of pushing liberal agendas. I get
No,
it.
it's not pushing a
no, no,
liberal
no, no.
agenda. I'm a registered independent, and you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, and I didn't vote for Barack Obama, and because I challenge you on an issue, you call me a liberal, and that is a buffoon statement. So I'm going to ask you again. The biggest cause of death with children is not Target. It's not indoctrinating our kids. It's not drag queen shows. It's gun violence. So I want to know what your solutions are as a politician to the biggest cause of death in children. And by the way, I will add again, I am not a liberal, and that's very convenient for you to try to attack me and call me a liberal just because I'm challenging you on an issue. Why don't you answer the question? What are your solutions to gun violence, since you want to talk about how parents are losing their rights and they're being indoctrinating our kids? I don't think Target's killed any kids. What are you going to do about gun violence? I know you laughed when I brought it up because you think it's funny, apparently. What are you going to do?
What am I going to do?
Yeah,
I'm
what
not
are you
even in the race.
Oh, okay, you're not in the race, so you have no
I'm
solutions.
I'm speaking as a citizen because I
Okay,
haven't.
so as a citizen, what do you think about gun violence, the number one cause of death in children, and what do you think our politicians should do about it?
According to the 2020 CDC study, that included 18 and 19-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're referring to, right?
That's not the only study I'm referring to. No, under the age of 16 years old, 2018, 2019, if you look at the leading cause of death in kids under the age of 14, it's guns. Now, some of those are suicide. He's right. And I just find it convenient that you want to talk about how parents are losing their rights, sir, with all due respect, and you want to talk about Target, and you want to make generalizations, but when I bring up gun violence, you don't have anything to say. You call yourself, well, I'm just a citizen. Why is that, sir?
Well, because one, I'm a veteran, and two, I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe that good education was one of the answers, but it's just not an easy answer to directly have a solution for. We know that. More gun controls, we're finding, especially if you look at Chicago, the city of Chicago, that's where the highest crime rate is with gun violence.
Uh-huh.
They have the tightest gun controls in effect. It's about education. Really is.
So you
And it goes
think
into
so you think it's about education, and that would be your solution
proper
to lowering
training.
the proper training. Well, you don't have to be trained to use a gun to buy it.
Yeah, but who pulls the trigger? That's the key.
So who pulls the trigger? I agree. We don't want people pulling the trigger and killing people, but all I've heard from you is I guess that's one of your solutions is education. I'm not really sure what that means, but I guess the frustration that comes from me, not a liberal, by the way, a registered independent. I don't want innocent people to die of guns.
I stand corrected, and I apologize.
I don't. That's okay. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. That's okay. But you're very passionate when it comes to indoctrinating our kids and what Target is selling in stores.
Absolutely.
And that's fine. You can be passionate about that, but I don't hear that same passion when it comes to the leading cause of death in kids. And that's what gets me very frustrated when people like you are up in arms about a private store selling a bunch of shirts and clothes that are pro-transgender and pro-gay, and you're so up in arms about that, but then the second...
No, I didn't say that.
But, well, you sound like you're pretty upset about it, and then when I bring up guns, the first thing you do is laugh, and then the second thing you do is say, oh, I'm just a citizen. I mean, I just think that's ridiculous.
It's called changing the narrative and redirection.
No. We're talking. No, we're not. We're talking about harming children. We're talking about what is harmful to kids. And I can tell you, guns are far more harmful to kids than drag queens reading books to children. Why do you focus on drag queens and pro-gay memorabilia and not the leading cause of death in kids, which is guns? It's a very fair question, sir.
Okay, well, it's all concerns, complete concerns. And you have to agree with me that it's been one of the greatest concerns of late is the pushing the LGBT and the transgenderism and
who is pushing it?
That issue.
How is it saying it's okay to be gay? Pushing it. Nobody is pushing you better be gay or you better be transgender. Why do you use that terminology? It's being pushed.
Why don't you go do a drag show and we'll have another discussion?
Why don't you? Why don't you go do a drag show? That's your response to me. Nobody's. Hey, sir. Hey, sir. Guess what? Can you name me one child that's ever been killed from going to a drag show? Give me one example.
So we're talking two
Give
different
me
things
one
here.
example of a child that's been killed from a drag show. Answer the question.
We're talking two
Have a
different
nice day,
things
sir.
here.
No, we're not. We're talking about the same things, and you're a right-wing buffoon, is what you are. You won't answer one direct question when I asked it to you. You call me a liberal, okay? And then when I bring up gun violence, you laugh. Sir, I think we learned a lot about you in this conversation.